Joining us now from Tromsø, Norway, is Dr. Mads Gilbert. He is a Norwegian emergency medicine specialist and veteran humanitarian doctor who has worked in Gaza, who did work in Gaza for more than 20 years. Dr. Mads, thank you so much for being with us today. I wonder what your view is of this report from Save the Children. In your view, is it likely that their demands will be followed through by anyone?
Well, Louise, I have to say that we have had these reports over and over and over again for the last 2.5, 3 years. We have known these facts all the time, and the world, the Western world, and the leaders have failed to act and to hold Israel accountable. And that's why this genocide against the children of Gaza and the West Bank has been allowed to go on with impunity for the Israelis. It is very shocking that probably close to 30,000 children have been killed in Gaza by the Israeli governmental army, not some ragtag army, but a governmental army. This can be translated to one child killed every hour around the clock for 1,000 days. Or if you like, 30 children killed every day for 1,000 days. So these numbers have been known, because what this last UN report from the UNHCR that came out in June is actually the important conclusion that the Israeli armed forces, the occupation forces of Israel, are deliberately targeting children as part of their genocidal intent. So where else in the world do you have a government that is systematically over years killing children who should have been, of course, protected not only by humanitarian international law, but by just basic moral instincts? Where else do you find that but with Israel? So this is a profound moral collapse in the West. Israel should have been stopped long ago. And now we know, as your reporter pointed to, the famine, the lack of clean drinking water, the lack of food, shelter, and security can all be changed in a snap, because once you open Gaza, the relief is there. Once you stop the occupation, the problem is basically solved. And once you give the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank the right to organize and lead their people, they will fix this. So the root cause of all this misery is the occupation, and the treatment of the problems in Gaza is not more humanitarian relief. It is an end to the occupation.
Dr. Mads Gilbert, I want to pick you up on that point where you say that pretty much the key here is opening the borders. And you have been, you are such an experienced doctor, but you were actually barred from going back to Gaza. Do you think that is the first step that needs to take place, that medics like yourself need to be allowed in, and also the aid?
No. Actually, I think, Louise, that the first and most important step is to put direct pressure on the Israeli government to stop the occupation and to end the bombing and the siege of Gaza. Just letting drips of humanitarian help or some medical doctors from the outside in is only like putting a bandage on an amputated arm. You need to, first of all, stop the occupation, stop the bombing, and stop the strangulation of Gaza. And that must be done through political means and sanctions, just as the West has been doing with Russia on the Ukrainian question. There are massive sanctions imposed immediately. There are almost no sanctions on Israel, and they continue as long as they get weapons and money, and as long as they are not being completely sanctioned and isolated. So I think, unfortunately, getting in some food and some water is not solving the problem. It will prolong it.
How do you see that happening, though? Because, of course, we have the UN, where we have a permanent member, the US, which supports Israel with its veto. So is that another key area where, the US, perhaps, somehow with pressure from other international nations, needs to stop its unwavering support of Israel?
Well, I think that's the key question, Louise, really. It's a very good question. And I think we see in Europe that the massive popular support, the solidarity movements, is actually pressing and forcing the governments of Europe to take a more active pro-Palestinian stance. The EU are working on sanctions. The Norwegian government just imposed a new law making it illegal to import goods and services from the settlements in the West Bank. But it is too little, too late. So what I think we need to do is to put more pressure on each one of our governments. That means that each one of us must look at ourselves as an energy, a source, and a tool for change. Because if we leave this to our governments alone, they will continue this historical trend of Israeli impunity. It is possible. Look at Spain, look at Ireland, and partially also look at Norway. There is a momentum now to isolate Israel in a way that they have never, ever been confronted with. And the numbers from the US, the polls and the statistics of these numbers are staggering. The majority of people in the US now is not positive to support Israel, and they support the Palestinians. So there is a historical change now. This change must be translated into political action, and we must demand much more. Had the history told us, had this report told us that someone, some foreign, occupier had killed one child every minute, a Jewish child, it had been stopped many years ago. And this is the fundamental moral problem. The racist system, the racist attitudes to support the settler colonial project that Israel is really undertaking is, again, a very dangerous path, because a Palestinian child in Gaza is not given the same value as a Jewish child in Tel Aviv or in Ukraine.
Dr. Mads Gilbert, we could talk about this for so much longer, and we really appreciate your expertise. Dr. Mads Gilbert, thank you.